One fast Sunday, I felt the confirming power of somebody's testimony that in a flash of light, Saul changed to Paul, and Paul changed the world. I know from decades of experience with you that you have experienced what I have, that some of these flashes of spiritual light come, and they come most often when we're on the Lord's errand. My journal is full of notes about doctrinal insights that I have gained only in the moment that I taught them during church assignments. While serving as an Area 70, I was once presiding over a Saturday adult session of state conference. During a question and answer session, a large man in blue coveralls stood up in the middle of the chapel and asked challengingly, "So have you seen God?" Well, there was an uneasy shuffle in the room. His question was inappropriate on so many levels. I thought, really, Korihor in coveralls. My first impulse was to skirt the question and to move on, but I felt the stirrings of the Spirit prompting me to consider, well, what does it mean to be an especial witness? I took a breath, and a memory suddenly flooded my mind. And so I shared an experience which I had never spoken of before. Once on a business trip, I landed in pre-dawn hours at an airport in Asia and wearily found a car and a driver. The trip would take a couple of hours, so I used my overcoat as a cushion and positioned myself in the left corner of the back seat, planning to sleep for a while. But my attention became riveted on the moonlit landscape of that exotic place with its mysterious wooded hills and shadowy open expanses. As the morning sky gradually lightened, I saw evidence of an estuary on the left and an approaching bridge. As we drove onto that bridge, I was disappointed to find that the view was blocked on both sides by tall concrete slabs that formed walls, which apparently had been erected to contain the traffic noises of the expressway. I absently stared at that wall opposite me, wondering what was beyond as we whirred by at high speed. So as we left the bridge and the barricades ended, I glanced back at the vista that I had not been able to see and noted that it was just as I had imagined, a large body of water with a forested far edge and a few boats coming and going. And I found myself leaning forward to see further behind us to confirm that through the morning fog, a large sailboat was approaching the seaway under the far edge of the bridge. Suddenly, my jet-lagged, muddled brain snapped into a moment of clarity as I wondered, how did I know to look for that sailboat? I couldn't have known it was there. But somehow, I did. Somehow, I'd been looking for it. In fact, I realized that none of what I saw in the fully revealed vista had surprised me. I seemed to know where to find the wooded outline of that far shore, the barges, the building on the distant rise. But how? It slowly dawned on me that the massive concrete wall slabs on the bridge had small gaps between them of a fraction of an inch. And as we spread across the bridge, my eyes had been fixed on the blur of gray concrete, but punctuated by minute flashes of bright light from the morning sun through those narrow slits. Slits too small for me to detect anything but bright flickers and flashes. And yet somewhere in my mind, undetected, information was transmitted in those bursts of light, which was apparently compiled and subliminally stitched together into a latent vision of what lay beyond. I knew what was there before I knew that I knew. And I would have missed the marvel of it if I had not turned back to look. So back in the state conference, I finished telling this story as much to myself as to anyone and realized that the fellow was still standing there with an arm looped through his front suspenders. "Does that help?" I asked. He shrugged absently and sat down, probably not completely satisfied. But I was filled with wonder. The Spirit had just answered my own long-standing prayer about my ministry, and about my witness, I knew more than I knew I knew.